It's going to be a long session. It's been a long night, and this is one of those cards which is pulled at the end of the day and has to exist for a whole evening and a night and the next morning and what comes in the sleep and all that. And so it's been a long time in the making, this card. And it's a surprising card because when I pulled the card out, let's go before that. When the card was first conceived, when I was writing all the cards, I was just doing them one after the other, and I started slowly, and as I got through, you know, there's 100 cards to get through, and as I got through the cards they got quicker and more straightforward, more plain, and when I got to the lake, the words came to me, the lake, I don't know what that is. I just wrote down the words the lake and onto something else. I'm considering more the opposites. Maybe I wrote, the opposites. My lady is the opposite. The opposite of the lady. What does she say this time? Read this. Composer performance at Wartburg. Okay, well, the last video she sent me just a few minutes ago was a video of Dresden burning and a symphony that has just been composed and is being played, by the sounds of it, at the Wartburg. And the Wartburg is on one side of the altar, I've spoken of in the other card, and Dresden is the other side. Dresden is the left hand of God and Wartburg is the right hand of God, the light and the dark. And so Dresden got the fire, the terrible stuff happened in Dresden because everybody ran away from the war from the front and ended up in Dresden, and they all had to get burnt. That's what happens if you run away. Yet the reason Dresden happened at all was because men argued. It started as a small thing, an insult, okay, and it ended up in Dresden, right? Now, this is what we're going to be talking about today with the lake. Believe it or not, because when this card... Wait, I've got to get rid of this phone in case it beeps, because that's enough. The lady she's sending me many things now because that is how a lady purifies herself. A man purifies himself through stuff that goes on in his brain in the night. And the lady is the opposite of the man. She purifies herself by what comes out of her words, blah, 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 blah. And men can think, oh, she's gone crazy, yeah, and want to try to stop her. Yet it's because they've done too much themselves. They put too much stuff into her, and so there's a lot of stuff got to come out. And so it's a very, very difficult thing, the gentleman and the lady. And it can end up in very serious arguments, yeah. And of course, we don't want to end up with Dresden burning down the house. It can happen. So, let's get back to the card. Now I'm going to put on the screen the card as it was yesterday originally, as I pulled it out of the deck, because I photographed it and sent it to my lady. And I said to my lady, I don't know nothing about the lake. What is the lake? Because I felt it was a lady's subject. I said, can you tell me, explain to me what the lake is? Okay. Perhaps that was my downfall, because all of what happened after that is a result of me asking that question. If I just got on and made the lake card, it would have been a very simple, easy card, okay? but it's not. It's not. It's a very complex, difficult card, and it's probably one of the most important cards for the future of humanity in this entire deck. So, here's the original card. Okay, this is what the card looks like now. You can see it's been coloured in and lines added to it, words added to it, and it's been ripped up, chucked inside the dark bag overnight, brought out this morning and stuck together with glue and remade. This is a strange sign in the universe. Let's go into this. Okay, so the reply that I got from my lady about help with the card was, you have to do it. That's all I've got, you have to do it. See, so okay, now I'm standing here with a card in my hand with nothing on it except the words "a lake." Right. So what I do is I start to colour it in, because now maybe I can bring out some more of the subject through the artwork. And so the first thing I do is I start to scribble a picture of a lake at the bottom here. I'm thinking I'm maybe making a round, just a lake in the bottom here, and then it went all the way up, right up to the top. I said, okay, well, that's what God wants the picture to look like, that's fine. Okay, and then I started to make some lines to go through. I put 2 lines over, shh, and I got the message right to the bottom. So shh, right to the bottom. I finished it off right to the bottom, and I put the other one shh, right to the bottom. Okay, that was all I did. And then I looked at the card and I thought, what is this? And I started to see 2 figures in the card. I saw a pair of breasts here and what looked like a bit of an erection over here. And so I thought, aha, it's actually a couple. It's actually a couple coming close together. Not making love, but just coming close. The first closeness of a couple. And so the words came to me, lady, get kissed, okay? And from those first words, I'll put the card up, I'll show you the card as it was then. Okay, well, that wasn't exactly how it happened, because when I started to write GE here, I was actually writing the word gentleman. Lady, because I thought that's a lady, that's a gentleman. So I was going to write lady, gentleman. But when I got to the 3rd letter, it made a T, and T means the end, stop. So I just stopped. And then, so I had lady get, right? Lady get. So at that point I had to meditate on what does the lady get. Well, I actually put the word, well no I didn't, because I can see that this was written in a different colour, and so this was done at one time, this was done a little bit later. And so I must have got, I knew that this had to be gentleman, okay, and I thought, what does a gentleman get? Get what? Get what? Because this was going to be gentleman. Gentlemen get kissed, okay. That's the first thing that happened. So I thought, okay, now I've found the word, kissed, right. Now I'm missing the word gentleman, so I write gentleman up here. So now I've got lady, gentleman opposites, and I've got get kissed over here, so I have to find its opposite over here or whatever. So I find the word meet, okay. So it actually reads, meet lady, gentlemen get kissed. Meet lady, gentlemen get kissed. That's the actual order. Now one can get it wrong and think that it's the other way round, yeah? That the gentleman kisses the lady gets kissed. No, it's the gentleman get kissed. The lady meets the gentleman gets kissed. Okay. Alright, that's the start of the card. Now, I sent the card to my lady, picture of it, showed that I was quite proud of my little bit of work that I'd done. So I sent it to her, I got no answer back at all, just like nothing, yeah? And when you get no reply back, you start to think, my goodness, you know, am I doing this all by myself? And you know, there's all these kind of things that you might think about the lady. But the funny thing about the lady who is the lady of the lake, yeah, the lady of the lake, and there's, ladies and gentlemen are opposites. The lady knows everything. The lake is the source of knowledge, of wisdom, of everything. And the lady knows it and can dish it out of the lake. Yet she doesn't understand it unless her gentleman explains it to her and the world. And so the gentleman's job is to understand everything, okay? And so without the lady he can't get anything, yeah? So it's a complete balance, perfect balance between ladies and gentlemen. The lady is the source of knowledge and the gentleman is the source of understanding, wisdom. If you put the two of them together, it's neither one nor the other. It's the sum of the two opposites, knowledge and wisdom. We'll take 5. Okay, now let's get back to the kiss, all right? So, a lady and a gentleman meet. Now, for them to become partners, there are certain requirements, and that is that they don't already, neither of them have partners. So that they're actually free to partner, yeah? And both of them need to be interested in the other person out of love for the spirit inside the person, for who they are, not because they like the body, although they may be attracted to the body as well, not because they want to get something out of the relationship, they want to get saved from monetary problems, from housing problems, from... It has to be that there's only one reason for the couple to come together in this way, is out of love for each other, okay? And ideally, if you want to have an easy life as a couple, the two need to have never kissed anybody ever before, okay? Because the kiss is what unites and makes the couple in the first place. This is a physical act of joining the one to the other. And it is the two souls at this point, this lake here, the blue, is the merging together of the spirit of the gentleman and the lady in the kiss. And there's a sacred trust now placed on the two, because part of the lady is now inside the gentleman and part of the gentleman is inside the lady. And now they carry that spirit inside them and they need to preserve that. And so there's a trust that the other will do that. And if either of them kisses anybody else, that's the end of it. That's gone then, yeah. It's destroyed in that moment. And the other person will feel that as it's taken out of them. Doesn't matter how far away, they could be thousands of miles away. They'll have an experience of some pain in their heart. And so we're only supposed to have one lady and one gentleman in our entire lives. That's supposed to be the way it is. Okay. Those two are twin flames, yeah. And how we tend to lose our lady or lose our gentleman is there's some kind of argument. Okay. There's a fight between the lady and the gentleman, or the gentleman and the lady, and in the process of this, one of them says, I've had enough of this, I'm sick of this person, she's not the one that I thought she was, or he's not like as good as he was saying he was, and I'm out of here, I'm just going to go with somebody else, alright? Okay. And then that's the end of the couple, alright? Now, that is when the couple gets torn up. Okay, so that's what happened in the night. I tore the couple card up because my lady and I had a fight. And I don't even know what it was about, yet it was enough for me to decide it is finished, it is over, and I tore the card up, and it was God tearing the card up because I needed to have this experience right now. Whenever you do something like this, there's a purification process going on because many things that have happened between the lady and the gentleman, and if you do something like this, this brings up all the old stuff from the past. Every time you had some problem before, or some serious problem that hasn't come up, you haven't looked at for some years or whatever, and now it starts to come back, oh yes, you did this, blah, blah, blah. But this can happen in the night, so when you're sleeping in the night, it's going to be going through your mind, and it's being purified out of you. And with the lady, she's probably going to be saying lots of stuff, blah, 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 you did this, blah, blah, blah. That's it coming out of her. And once it's out, it's out. Now, if you understand that, you can live with it. You can drink the coffee, yeah? But if you don't understand it, you can't live with it, and you think there's an easy way out. Now, when I glued this back together again, I put it inside a book called The Forgotten Books of Eden, yeah? And I just opened it up at a page, I put it in and closed the book. And when I took it out, I needed to photograph it, so I just opened the page where it was, and I photographed the card. And then I noticed in the background, there were some words in the background of the card. And I want to share with you what those words were, because it was most profound, and it was about the problem that my lady and I were having in this moment that we did this work with the card. I'll find it. Okay, now I've got the card, the photograph of it here, and so the first photograph I took, it just had the single line next to the card, and it says here, "My son, hate not thy first friend, for the second one may not last." Okay. Now I thought that I was the origin of this teaching because I'd never heard anything about like this kind of teaching before. I thought, because I learned this on the way doing all this stuff with different ladies and that, yet here I find in some ancient book, here is the wisdom. that I had to learn myself, because I didn't have this book in front of me. Or if I had, I might not have understood exactly what these words implied. So, hate not thy first friend, for the second one may not last. Now, if you do the dirty on your friend, and it can be just a normal friend, or it can be your special friend, your lady, your gentleman. If you do the dirty and leave them for somebody else, what happens is the karma of that is that you have to have the same experience to lose somebody else. And so it's not possible that your second relationship is going to last any length of time. It's going to be finished quickly, and you're going to think that you've got a nice new lady, and you're going to be with her for a little while, and then she's going to be gone with some other man, so that you can find the same experience, you can learn your lesson from your karma, all right? And so always the second one may not last. It won't last. I can guarantee it won't last, because you have to have that experience. And it's a terrible experience, because if I think back to when this happened to me, the most major thing I did with this, I had a small disagreement with my lady. I was the one who made the mistake. She chastised me and pushed me away for it. Instead of me being true to her, I never knew that you had to be true to your lady. I said, oh, to hell with her. And then this other old lady friend of mine from years ago pitched up in my life. I said, oh, I'll have her instead of this one. So I did the dirty on her. And I had to upend my life, move to another town, set up another flat, end up in some place completely wrong for me, complete wrong place to be. And then she upped it and went back to where she was living before with the other guy that she was with, yeah? And so exactly the same thing was done to me as I did to my lady. I never got her back, because I was the one. It was my fault, and that's it. Once she's gone, you've lost her. And that lady's name was Diane. And she was a lovely lady. She was not she was an easy lady to be with. She was not argumentative. And so the first friend you have is an easier friend than the next one you get. The next one you get, you lose completely. And you have to spend 7 years in hell, 7 years of suffering. I never suffered. The time after that, those years after doing the dirty on that lady and losing the next one, and then finding myself alone in a strange city with no friends, no nothing, just a terrible life, and suffering, unhappy with myself, fallen from the way of salvation. When I was with Diane, I was happy. No longer a happy little chappy, and I'm smoking marijuana too, drinking, yeah. Okay. Now I did notice okay, here's a little bit from my lady. One of the two Venus qualities is to say no, and stopping the lust and the drive, with yes for responsibility, for care, for knowledge and wisdom, unconditionally in a sense for herself, and so for all. I leave it at that. That is a little bit of the lady's wisdom. The knowledge is coming from the pool, and this is what she has to say. Perhaps you need to replay that a little bit to really come to grips with it, because what the lady says, what the man says, is verbose and simple and easy to understand. What the lady says is complex and difficult and obscure, but yet profound. Okay. I take 5 and then we come back. Okay, while I was making my video, it went beep again, and so I'm just going to read you what it says here. It says, "For the female aspect in all, teaching the man becoming whole and righteous, beyond genders." Okay, so in the end the man has to be righteous. And if there's something that the man needs to learn, then the lady has to force him to learn it. And she'll drive you out of the house. Yeah? You won't be able to live with her. And it's because you need to find some new source of wisdom, some new understanding. You have to go out into the world and come back with your treasure of wisdom to give back into the relationship with the lady. And it's not just about your relationship with the lady, it's to give back to the world. Okay? Because my lady is a very great lady, very great lady. And this is because I have had a lot of experiences, not a lot, not like Harvey Weinstein, my God, not like that. But I've done the dirty on a number of ladies, probably 5, okay, 5 ladies. And that's a lot, okay, and if you do the dirty on 5 ladies, oh, you've got to cough a lot of stuff out of you, a lot of stuff. And those 5 ladies will haunt your mind, your memory forever. They will be coming back to you from time to time to learn your lessons, because all of what you did with those ladies has to be learned. The errors of them have to be learned and taught to humanity, because what happens is you end up going on this high level pathway. No longer can you just be partner with a nice easy lady and just go on a gentle journey and just go up a few steps on the great chain of being. No, now to redeem yourself you have to go all the way, right? Back to the Father, the whole enchilada, the whole lot, right the way, okay? To redeem yourself for such gross misconduct, right? Over and over again, to do this thing over and over again. Now, the reason I had to do this over and over again, because there was nobody in the world to teach this lesson. And you can see that the whole of humanity has made this mistake, and my mistake, 5 ladies, is nothing compared to some people out there, the Harvey Weinsteins, my God. So, if you stay with your first lady, you're going to have an easy life. And a gentle journey along the great chain of being. If you have a lot of trouble in your life, a lot of suffering, if you have a lot of suffering, you've caused a lot of suffering. And you're going to eventually, when you are given another chance, another divine lady, and you're not going through all these bad karmic relationships where the other person doesn't even love you, you can have those kind of relationships. It's terrible. Fallen relationships. If you walk the way and get back to God after many years of making mistakes, and you do what I did, which is to just become a servant of God, it's too much now. You see, there's lots of stuff coming out of here, and the lady will continue to do this because she had a big experience in the night. She thought she was going to lose me again. Yeah? And so all this stuff is coming out of her. Some of it to do with the card, some of it just because she needs to purify. And it's causing problems for me, and it does that. If you stay with the lady whilst all this argument stuff's going on, it destroys your mind. It destroys your ability to complete your work, and my work is to do these cards, yeah? And the paradox is that out of that mistake, the mistakes are the best part, out of the mistake of messing up, tearing up the card, and going through all this, deciding that we're no longer a couple, and that's not coming from me, that's coming from God. God says it's over, you can't allow this to continue, because God has to drive us through this process. It's God that's putting us through the process. The lady can't help herself, the gentleman can't help herself. They're just doing this stuff because it's got to happen. For this card to come out, it's got to happen, and in the process we are purified. Yet this is purification at very, very high levels on the pathway, and you're only going to be doing that if you start late. And finally are given a divine lady, I think maybe at the age of 50 odd years old we were when we came together. And I'm 70 now. 55 I would have been when we met. Finding the words in the fire and the water. Here's the water, here's the fire. Finding the words in the fire and the water. You see how difficult it is for me to find these words, because there's so much stuff to tell you. There's so much. And I did not know, I was going to have an easy time doing the lake. Now I've got to give you everything, because it's all coming out of me as a result of my lady's work. My lady forced this on me. And this is what your lady will do to you. She will force you to find out, to complete your mission, to do your work. Because if we look at this picture here, this is your lady here, and this is you. Now, we all think it's the other way around. We're the big father and they're the little baby lady. And they won't take that. Won't take that. You have to respect the mother, you know. Your mother is making you. You're the little Christ child, and she's making you into the great Messiah, you know. This is what she's doing. And so you have to have all these difficult experiences. It's not possible not to have these experiences, and the only one who's going to force you to do it, hit the road, Jack, and do where you got to go sleep on sacred sites in the cold and the wet. The only person who's going to do that is your mother, the great lady, Venus. She's my Venus, she's my bundle of your desire, because everybody wants her. That's the trouble too. If you go out into the world with your Venus, all the men want her because she's absolutely lovely. After you've kissed, she becomes like a shining beauty. Doesn't matter what she looked like before, the ugly duckling. It's the same message. The same message. It must be the sound, the water to say in a right way. No, the water to say in a right way. No. We're all learning to behave, okay? And this behaviour, this argument fight, can turn into Dresden. Yeah. So I'm going to play for you the video that Elisabeth sent me of Dresden, to show you where you can end up if you don't take to heart what I'm telling you and try to be true and good with your lady. Here it is now. In the time of my confession, in the hour of my deepest need, when the poor tears beneath my feet flood every newborn seed, there's a dying voice within me, reaching out somewhere, toiling in the danger and the morals of despair. I hear the ancient footsteps of temptation's angry face. Sometimes I think there's someone there, other times it's only me. I am hanging in the balance of the reality of man, like every sparrow falling, like every